Do we need to send March Friday?
Yeah. Well, I sent her the link before I left, but maybe if she gets something from you.
Yes.
Are we talking about Sandy or Senator Bright Matthews?
Senator Bright Matthews.
Senator Sen, rather.
We got you.
Text Margie.
Hey, Senator Sanders, how are you?
Good. How y'all doing?
Good. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Just waiting really quickly to hear back from March Friday.
Oh, she's in the waiting
Oh,
room.
she's
Oh,
coming.
there we go. I know she had the link.
Good job, Sonia.
Good afternoon, Senator Bright Matthews. How are you?
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Great. It's good to see you.
I'm sorry, I was trying to get on.
No problem. No problem. We're all here now. So I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is Charleston County Magistrate Oversight Committee meeting, July 15th. On this committee, myself, Senator Bright Matthews. We have, I don't think we have do we have the Associate Chief in here? No.
She's supposed to be zooming in.
Oh, is that Ms. Perry?
Yes.
Sure, okay. Senator Sen is not here. Chief Magistrate Richard Dean Singleton Brown, who is in the room, as well as Councilmember Rob Werman. So thank you all for being here this afternoon. You were given a copy of the July 11th, 23 meeting minutes. Wow, it's been a year. That's crazy. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Minutes approved. The next is to discuss the agenda items, starting with item 2A, the reassignment of the appointed magistrates. At this point, I'm going to let Judge Singleton Brown sort of carry the conversation because she's more familiar with who is up and where they need to go. But we recently were emailed a copy of the caseload information. So if you need to refer to that, should have gotten in your email inbox in the last hour.
What is it?
The total caseload information.
Oh, I got it. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Judge Singleton Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Honeycutt. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Under agenda items 2A is where we'll start. We are requesting to approve a swap, which would be Judge Lauren Fox, who is currently sitting downtown at the City Magistrate's Court, and she's working 21 hours a week, but that's not her appointed hours. Judge Sanders, who's not been sworn in yet, he was appointed to go into that slot. However, he is unable to work 3 days a week. He's unable to work 21 hours, but he is able to work Judge Fox's hours over at North Area 2. So we're asking you to approve their swap. There's no cost to the county whatsoever making this change.
Thank you. Do we need
It's just-
Chris, do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll take these individually.
Alright.
So let's get a motion on the floor for discussion if we need it. Anybody want to make a motion to approve that?
All right, I'll make the motion. Chair
All right.
Honeycutt.
Is there a
I
second?
move that we appoint Magistrate Fox to City Magistrate Court at 21 hours and appoint Judge T.O. Sanders to North Area 2 14 hours.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Can we have a little bit more discussion on that? I
Absolutely.
apologize.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to get up to speed on this.
Okay.
And I was just on the phone with Senator Sin, so if we need to get her in, she said she was be okay with coming in on the meeting. On city magistrate court, why is it called city? That's not city court, that is it's called city because it's located downtown?
Correct.
Okay, and who had been covering that court?
That was Tiffany Spanweiler,
Yeah, along there, yeah.
Okay,
and she vacated that, of course, with her election. And so we had to put someone down there. And the person that was covering that was Judge Lauren Fox.
okay, and Lauren would be on it for 21 hours.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Now let's do the same thing
Oh, you're
for the
fine.
North Area
Okay,
2
and-
Magistrate Court.
All right, so Judge Fox's original appointment is North Area 2. And so Judge Jenkins has been covering North Area 2 while Judge Fox has been covering downtown. Judge Fox, working downtown at City Magistrate, still leaves open that vacancy at North Area 2. Judge Sanders is unable to cover the 3 days in which Fox is sitting now. And so he would be going to North Area 2 to take her spot. So they basically are flip-flopping
Okay,
with no cost to the county whatsoever.
okay.
Is 14
you.
hours gonna be enough?
For him,
That was-
yes, ma'am. He said that's plenty enough for him.
Jenkins.
And Jenkins has the other 2 weeks.
Okay.
And question, I don't think Jenny, you said there was an email that was sent today with the caseload.
Yes.
Okay, can you
Yes,
forward it?
and that would be for McClellanville. We'll make sure you get that right now.
Okay,
It went to send, so I will send.
The question I had, if you don't mind, Judge Singleton, is, thank you, ma'am. At 5,100 cases in the North Area 2 Magistrate, and it's only 30 hours to do those? How have they been in disposing of those cases?
Well, it started with me and interest, and we worked really, really hard to get them disposed of, but
But we have a
I-
jump from 2023 at 3,891 to 5,098 now.
yes, ma'am, that's
Gotcha.
because he picked up a lot more police officers. So his traffic court and his evictions have increased.
I just sent it.
Okay,
But that court has been 30 hours, and I don't know why, but when we were appointed, he had 2 days and I had 2 days. It was supposed to have been him taking that court and me taking a new court that was to be built, but that never came to fruition. So he and I shared those hours over there.
well, it just seems to me that it would make more sense because I can tell you this, I'm sure you've been getting some of the stuff we've been getting. We have a new Chief Justice that's taking over and Justice Kittredge, and he's gonna really be on the caseloads in these courts. And maybe I'm jumping ahead, has there been some thought to increasing that North Area Court with the 5,100 cases up to 40 hours?
There have been no discussions as of yet. Today would be the first time we had that discussion, but I can tell you what, I'm willing to entertain anything that will help us become more efficient. We have been very, very diligent about going through our pending caseloads. Phyllis has been great about getting us pending caseloads every quarter. So every quarter we go through our caseload reports at our magistrate meetings. So we're working. Some things are beyond our control simply because there are a lot of GSC pending cases, and we can't touch the magistrate level cases until those have been resolved. So they've been pending. So if you see a 2017, 2018, 2019, we need to talk about them because we've been cleaning those up. But 2020, 2021, and 2022, 2023 are realistic, only because of GSC cases being held up. But happy to put that on our radar.
It just seems kind of it seems unfair that, or unrealistic to assume that you do 40 hours in the East Cooper Magistrate Court and you only have 1,995 cases, and you do 30 hours in the North Area 2 Magistrates Court and you got 5,098.
Agreed.
Okay.
I want you to take it, if you want to really quickly look at North Area 3.
I did 8,500 cases.
That's me. by
Isn't that where
myself.
Annie Summy was?
That's where I am now, and that's me by myself, and I'm rolling them out. So it is possible to, I mean, we can get through them, and I don't have really much help over there. It's just me. My clerks keep me going. But it is the nature of these courts, and now in that they are now seeing increased eviction cases, and that really is what is adding to our loads. And so I think there's more pieces to that puzzle that have to be fixed other than just adjusting the hours, because our homelessness population is increasing because our hands are tied when it comes to these evictions, and we're having to deal with them every single day. But I would ask if we could table that conversation. I'll be willing to work on getting some more additional information with court administration to see how we can increase North Area 2's hours.
Did they, excuse me, wasn't there I know it was a pilot at some point, but wasn't there a housing court that was implemented? I remember when I was about maybe 2 years ago that was supposed to be to kind of move these. They only dealt with evictions. And is that still going on, or has that been helpful?
It's no longer a pilot. Those programs are installed in our courts. And why you see mine as being as high as it is, they're there every Thursday. They're with me every Thursday. They're with North Area 1 every Monday, I believe, every Wednesday. North Area 2 every Tuesday. So they're going to all of our different courts, the lawyers, the pro bono attorneys. They're getting in each of the courts and rolling the cases through. We very seldom have continuances.
Any further discussion on item 2A? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Item 2A passes. Moving on to item 2B. Judge Singleton Brown.
Thank you, Chair. Why you actually received this the report, not only just to give you a snapshot of all the courts, but McClellanville, we've lost our the one judge that we've had there for I don't know how many years, over 10 years. And we are asking you all to approve our reducing the court hours back down to the 2 days. We had taken our 7 hours from weekend bond court and added that 7 to McClellanville based on the request of Judge Hayne Lofton. That put a burden on your magistrates. Why? Because we are working more weekends due to our rotation. Why? Because we don't have a weekend bond court judge at all. So we are asking you to approve the reallocation back to where it was, back to the 15 hours at McClellanville, and adding that 7 hours back to 7.5 back to bond court. Now, we don't have a weekend bond court judge just yet, but we have asked Senator Tedder, Senator Margie Bright Matthews, and Senator Sin to please appoint us weekend bond court judges. because when Judge Kenny left, no one was ever appointed. So we made some moves around 7.5 hours or 7 hours to accommodate Judge King Lofton, but as we look at the numbers, we need to move that number back down and reduce McCullenville's court to 2 days instead of 3 days. As you can see, their civil is only 45. Their criminal is 135, their traffic is 1,079. And that 1,079 is with the help of the town of McClellanville's code enforcement tickets. So we don't have a lot of county police officers riding over there, but those that are there, their numbers are included in that 1,079.
So is this adding, we're just shifting numbers, right? Or are we adding?
That's
numbers?
all. We're just shifting. Nothing is being added. We're just shifting. So I will move to reduce McClellanville court hours back to 15 and place the 7.5 hours back to bond.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion or questions about this one? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item 2B passes. Moving on to item 2C, the reassignment of magistrates.
Thank you. So I will abstain from voting on this one, and most likely I will abstain from calling a vote on this one. I am currently appointed to small claims court at 40 hours a week. Before Annie left, she appointed me over to North Area 3 with the chief judge's blessing. With that being said, we still have a 40-hour-a-week position available, and that person needs to go in my place at small claims. If anyone is appointed in the 40-hour position and it is not, and you all do not approve my swap, then I'll have to come back to small claims, and I'll tell you that the chief magistrate should not be in small claims court, and the only reason why is because I have a lot of fires to put out, and they include civil, they include criminal, they include anything and everything you could think of. And if I'm sitting in small claims all day long, 7.5 hours a day, I'm not going to be able to handle my duties. And we have made significant strides at North Area 3 that I will refrain from putting on the record, but we've made significant strides, and I don't want that court to go backwards. It is your #1 producing court. We field the majority of the evictions, the majority of the civil, and you certainly do not want to put a brand spanking new judge in that court. I promise you they will fail. So I am asking that you all consider just reassigning me officially to North Area 3, leaving open that 40-hour position for the small claims court. And I believe Senator Tedder and Senator Bright Matthews were working on filling that position. And that's all I have.
So before we start discussion, let's get a motion on the table. Is there someone other than the judge that can make that motion?
I will move, but I need a question for her to answer a question.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Judge, Senator Bright Matthews.
Judge, maybe you can answer this. All right. You previously had been handling small claims only at North Area 3 Magistrates Court?
No, ma'am. Small claims is at the Public Service Building, the Lonnie Hamilton Building. So we have 2 specialty small claims courts.
No, where is that
One-
on the sheet? That's what's hard to understand if you're not there.
Do you see where it says North Area Small Claims?
It's the last page
Okay,
titled North Area Small Claims Court.
right. Okay. And so that's not being covered at all right now by anybody?
Oh, it's covered. Don't worry. Everything's covered. Trust me. We're doing it by the skin of our teeth, but we got it covered. Judge Martell Morrison stepped in and he's handling the 40 hours.
Okay. Can I make one little small suggestion? Just as a cheat sheet for people like me, who I have 6 counties that I have to do this on, it helps me if I've got, where you have the 40 hours, if you have in parentheses there, the judges, because I can spatially understand it then.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, we sure will.
Okay.
Thank you. No further discussion.
All right, any other questions? Senator Tedder, did you have a question?
I was thinking, so that, just to clear, so Judge Singleton, before you were assigned to North Area 3, you were handling North Area small claims, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and now that you've been reassigned to North Area 3, y'all been having to kind of split it up and all together cover the small claims. That's what you're saying. So we need to, in essence, appoint essentially a full-time, a magistrate judge to solely cover the small claims court where you used to be.
Correct. And that's the
Okay.
40-hour, that's the
Gotcha.
40-hour position that you were working on.
Okay, yeah.
Judge Martell he was appointed there 20 hours to help pick up Judge Whipper's, then Judge Cleekas's cases. But he stepped in to cover the entire court as well as his Ravenel assignment, Adams Run assignment. And so he's been doing double duty there as well. But that court has not missed a beat either.
And Cleekas is no longer, is
Correct.
okay.
He resigned.
Gotcha.
I think
I
that,
call the question, I guess.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. I was gonna say, I think that covers everything. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. That's item 2C passes, noting that, Judge Singleton Brown abstained.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Item 2D.
Okay, we still have, I just wanted to let you know what we have available, what we have vacant, not available, North Area small claims, as we just discussed, we need a 40-hour full-time judge in that position. We also need a weekend bond court judge, or some suggestions have been to hire 2 weekend bond court judges, one to work on Friday, one to work on Saturday, one to work on Sunday, them rotating. It's a very difficult position to fill. And so we're trying to be as creative as we can, but we are in need, in desperate need of those 2 positions being filled. Like I said, I know that Senator Tedder and Senator Brett Matthews have been working on the North Area small claims. However, I don't know whether the discussion of the weekend bond hearing needs went past our emails that we had going back and forth. But for some reason, that was not made a priority, but we really need it to be. It was a position that we had before. We moved around some hours to accommodate some judges as it related to their caseloads, but we're going to have to get those positions filled, or we may start losing judges because we work on the weekends as well. So we've got our 5 days a week, plus we go in on the weekends, and we are on call basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you have municipalities that do not answer their phone at night. And so we have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to sign search warrants. And it's a lot for us, despite what may be placed in newspapers or whatever narrative is out there. Our courts are open 365 days out of the year, and our bond court is not a 24-hour bond court, because we pick up the slack from 12 to 9, 12 AM to 9 AM, with our rotation. But we've got to get those filled, please. I'm begging, you all to please help us, and would like to know if will there be any session senators, to get people through coming up?
I just spoke with, Shane Massey, Senator Massey, probably 2 hours ago, on this same issue. We thought we were going to be coming back at the end of this month, July, to handle the governor's, vetoes, but we don't have many vetoes, to, consider. So no, we're not going back for that purpose. But he said we most probably will end up going back at the end of August or the beginning of September, just for the purposes of having only a few senators come in, the local ones, just to read across the desk all of the magistrates' applications. Apparently, there's been a snafu in the governor's office regarding he's had a lot of turnover in staff, and the girls, that there was 2 ladies that was handling all of the magistrate applications. Back when we went back in, I believe it was June the 25th. Dion, correct me if I'm wrong. When we went in at that time, there was a discussion with the president of the Senate and Senate leadership that the governor's office they hadn't processed over 50 applications.
Yep.
So it's just not Charleston County. I can tell you 4 of my counties, they're still sitting on the paperwork from the candidates who've taken tests. We've had horror stories of folks having already taken the tests, turn in their paperwork, and their tests, 6 months. It only lasts for 6 months. By the time the governor's office has processed the applications, they have to take the test again. So I lost a magistrate in Hampton on that basis. So long story short, Senator Massey says we probably maybe go back in to get those folks that we have recommended. I think Senator Tedder, I think you put forward 3 people or 2?
Yeah, 2. So 2 have gotten their have been
Thank you.
2 have been submitted and got their the electronic application back from the governor's office. So they're working on that now.
Monday.
Ms. Perry, I think your volume may be on. There you go.
Oh.
Sorry.
So did y'all hear me? Okay, yeah. So I have 2 that were submitted to the governor and have received the electronic application. So they're going through that process now. And then I do know that we, at the end, that last day, there were, I think, 3 that were read across that were Senator Sims. Have those been, she had 2, have those been assigned?
2 of her 3 went through, but they have not been sworn in.
Okay, got you. Okay. But yeah, I do know that, that.
Were they
we got-
assigned? Well, have they tentatively been assigned?
Well,
Yes,
one of them
that's
was
one.
Tia Sanders, who we talked about earlier,
Okay.
that needed the hours that Lauren Fox had. And then the other one is Patrick Smith, right?
Correct.
But they have not actually been sworn in.
Okay.
Not sworn in yet because we needed to have this meeting. And the minute that they get sworn in, they become employees of Charleston County, and they will be expected to work those hours that we're trying to move around.
Okay. And so I'll just update you once Matu get that back to the governor's office. And then hopefully when we go back, we'll be able to get those 2 read across as well.
Did
It
you
would
say
help us to,
Mary Page Adams, where was she assigned?
East Cooper.
Sorry.
East Cooper?
East
Yes.
Cooper.
She got sworn in.
She was sworn in today.
So where would Mr. Smith be assigned?
He is at McClellanville. And he lives in McClellanville, which helped us.
I have a couple of questions. Jenny, let me know when it's appropriate for me to blurt them out, because
You
I'm
go
getting.
right ahead. Now is an open discussion on these vacancies.
All right, for the bond, once we put the two that we have in the hopper, meaning the ones that Senator Tedder has presented, where are they likely going to be assigned?
That's a very
Vice
good
Turner.
question.
North Area Small Claims and Bond Court Weekend,
Vice Turner.
which is North Area Small Claims Court,
Mhm.
and then Vice Kenny, which is Weekend Bond Court. Those are the two vacancies.
So Vice Turner, Vice Kenny, which is the small claims, no fear small claims. And then weekend bond court, if we want to put one person to handle the entire weekend.
Okay, but your
If
suggestion
someone
was that,
If someone would please, sound like y'all are working from a grid with people's names.
All right,
Rob and Jenny might know, but
So do you remember, Judge James Turner? So he was small claims court, that's where I stepped in when he was retired. So
you don't
from
understand
North-
what I'm asking. What I'm
Okay.
saying for future meetings, it would be great if we've got the grid that y'all obviously have, that have the judges' names on them with the areas.
The grid's in our
It's in
brain.
our brain.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry,
Sorry.
Senator. Moving forward, we certainly will put that on the material we distribute. That
Sorry.
grid is a rolling marquee in our brains. I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
I'm sitting here saying, I need something stronger to drink than this water.
No, we'll make sure you have it. We understand what you're asking. We got
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
Okay, so once we get, so I have people talk about, and I'm always trying to check and try to find good judges, because you just don't want anybody. You want someone that will come to work and be available for officers to sign search warrants and sign arrest warrants. On the bond court issue, that's always the hardest to fill everywhere. How many hours are we looking for out of somebody, and what would be their projected salary?
So 15 hours on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday.
What's the hour?
If they're an attorney, it's $44.25 an hour.
If not, it's starting out on the graduated scale, and they start out at appointment at $33.18. So
Okay.
if they are non-attorneys, they follow statute. If they are attorneys in Charleston, we approved allocating every year's worth of credit for every 2 years of practicing law experience. So if they have been a practicing attorney in South Carolina for 8 years or greater, they'll be elevated to the full hourly rate of our full-time judges, which is $44.25.
So that helps me a lot, because it's hard to advertise for a job when I can't give that information. The other question then is, do they, for the 15 hours, do they get on the county retirement or not? They get no benefits with that, right?
No retirement, no.
Then he's saying no, so that means no,
None.
no benefits.
They get retirement, but they don't get any
Health
benefits.
insurance.
No health insurance.
Wait a minute, one person, I can't hear.
Contribute to retirement, I think.
I can't hear.
I believe they can elect to contribute retirement. They do not get health insurance, which was
Yes,
one of
ma'am.
the reasons some people were doing it.
Correct.
So is there a potential of there being a full-time bond judge?
Not for the weekend.
Okay,
We have
Okay.
full-time Monday through Friday. The weekend is just the 15 hours.
well, why not consider, and I guess this is on you, Chief Admin. Why not consider a different scale whereby you change the magistrates to 7 days on, 7 days off? That's what we've had to convert to in other counties. That way it's more palatable to folks to be able to plan their vacations and whatnot.
I've got that
On and
written
off,
down.
because nobody wants to work every weekend.
And that's the issue. 7 days on, 7 days off? Okay,
That's what we do over here, and it works real well.
all right.
You working 2 weekends a month, 2 weeks a month.
That's not a bad idea. Okay.
It makes,
Phyllis's brain is-
Thinking,
do
you
that.
see me thinking? I'm like this.
we do that here and in Beaufort, so
Okay.
it helps. It helps make it more appealing to people. And then in Beaufort, they were able to, because of the amount of time they're working and being on call all the time, they don't count hours. It's just that it could, because if some emergency comes up, they're gonna work more than 40 hours in that week. But it's okay because they have their whole next week off.
Okay. I had not heard that idea.
That's the only way we could keep people,
I understand.
because that's a crummy job.
Especially on the weekends.
Especially with no health insurance too.
Well, yeah, and they let them do the health insurance because you might be on a bad crime spree week and you can find yourself working a lot, but at least you're off that next week. Just a thought.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
I like, no,
And that was Beaufort. I'm gonna reach
Buford
out.
and Colleton. Buford and Colleton?
Yep.
I'm gonna reach out with them. Thank you.
What other ideas you have turning in your head to help us?
Judge Singleton Brown, I don't know if it's appropriate during this discussion, but I did get a call about the adjustments made with our arrangement with the city of Charleston.
Yes.
And I understand the way I see it fitting in here is we only have so many magistrates and we can only work so many hours in these cases, and especially when the city's I guess law enforcement policies have changed, creating more, work for the magistrates. Can you just fill us in on kind of what happened there?
Yes, ma'am, I sure can. So for the past 2 to 3 years, we have been in discussion, we as in our magistrates have been in discussion regarding the amount of municipal cases that we have been getting. And over the last 2 years, the numbers have been increasing. And so the municipal cases take up a lot of our clerk's time. It is a lot of work that goes into putting those packets together. And the agency that brought us the majority of the work had put us in a very difficult position in that they were supposed to be bringing us, an affidavit with their UTTs, because every person that is arrested is supposed to have a bond hearing within 24 hours, number one, or if they don't have a affidavit attached to UTT, they must have a detention hearing or probable cause hearing within 48 hours. The city was telling us that they were doing those cases within 48 hours, and they were not. So you have some officers bring their affidavit attached to the UTTs, you have others that did not. And they would make representations in court stating that, oh, judge, this person's going to have, they'll be in front of a judge in 2 days, and that did not happen. So I found that it was increasing and it was putting us in jeopardy, especially with the Supreme Court rule that a person must have a hearing within the 24-hour time frame, or if they didn't provide us with an affidavit, they must have a probable cause hearing within 48. The reason why they were not having a 48-hour probable cause hearing is because the judges for the city said it was not their jobs to work on the weekends, when it in fact was their jobs. So that was one of the issues that we had recognized and had been working on. The other issue, or another issue, was that they were not answering their phones for their own officers and their search warrants and arrest warrant numbers were increasing, which was waking myself, Annie, Judge Gosnell, Judge Hazelden up the most. Even though we have a rotation where our judges are on call, one is on call at least every night, they were not following the roster. They would just go to the people they were most accustomed to going to. And of course, that has now become or it became a burden. 3, the paperwork that our staff had to put together was more paperwork than we could have possibly continued to handle. 1, because you have an increased load of GSC cases and arrest warrants and packets that had to be completed. And 2, they have judges that can do their own municipal cases, and they were not. And we were low on clerks. We had a clerk shortage. So it was a combination of things that were occurring, and we saw that people were getting arrested for walking off of the sidewalk. And we were responsible for doing their municipal cases. So while it may seem as if we abruptly did something, we did not. We had been in talks with Susan Herdina and Mr. Their chief, Morrison. And we had been saying to them, we need to come up with a plan. We need to come up with a plan. Well, when Annie left, I came up with a plan. And I asked for a meeting. I made sure I called all the powers that be to ensure that we did not have an MOU in place, that there was no formal agreement in place, and that it was just a handshake and a nod, and it was told to us when we were tired of their municipal cases, we can send them back. And so,
Who told you that?
the persons that were in the room, that would have been Skip Gosnell, Judge Steinberg, and Judge Morrison, when they created this agreement between the 3 of them for the county judges to handle their municipal bond hearings. And this was about 9 or 10 years ago.
I think Mendelsohn was there too at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's exactly who it was. Thank you very much. And so my institutional knowledge came from Skipper and Judge Steinberg as it relates to how this agreement was created. And so sending those cases back was beneficial, number one, to the county. Because at one time you all were paying us to work on the weekends and work those hours. You're no longer doing that. So we don't have to be there as long on the weekends as we were because of their cases. Now, it's not just the weekend cases that increased. Their cases increased throughout the week. And Judge Hazelden had many complaints about the fact that her staff was inundated with the paperwork that wasn't they weren't our cases. And not to mention, the city was bringing their cases late. It was holding us up on getting on the bench, which we've gotten complaints about. So it was a concerted effort to try to give them back the cases that they should have been hearing in the first place. And when one judge stated in a recorded meeting that it was not their job to do that, things just went downhill from there when it was their jobs. But me, as your chief magistrate, remained professional, and we worked hard to find a way to transition their cases back to them. We believe we did that. The mayor was on board. And when they realized that they were in a spot where they were not prepared because they never walked over to our bond court to ask for help when we gave them instructions that we would walked them through everything. They came back to us for an extension, and we granted that extension for them.
And that's till the end of the month.
That they now have their cases back. They have
Oh.
John Robinson, who was hired on before July the 1st, and so they began hearing their cases on the 1st of July. And I will tell you, it has been a relief to all of our staff that have to deal with that paperwork. But I did make the phone calls to court administration in Columbia. They told us we were well within our rights to do so, to hand them back their cases, and that there was nothing on the books. We checked here to make sure there was nothing on the books here regarding any written agreements. Checked with legal to make sure that there was nothing they were doing incorrectly, and that decision was made to pass it back to them as responsibly as we possibly could. And I will say they've done a fine job thus far since July, handling their own cases.
Great. Well, thank you for handling that, and I apologize for not being in the loop. I happened to see one of the council meetings at the city where they seemed very upset with decisions that county council had made, and I'm like,
That's exactly right.
no, but they seemed confused about how this process worked, and so I reached out to Mr. I think it was Mr. Bowers, and as well as the mayor, to say, look, you know, I'm not sure where this confusion stems from, but you know, call us and get the facts if you need them. We're happy to communicate whatever it is to help clarify things. So I'm glad it got resolved. Thank you for that.
That's why I was a little confused, Judge, earlier when I said city magistrate court. And I didn't understand the jurisdictional issue of what was going on. I'm glad you explained that.
Yeah, municipal court is different from city small claim.
Yeah,
It's
that was
city
confusing.
So, Chair Honeycutt, I want to tell you that I did get word that you had spoken to Mr. Bowers and the mayor, and I want to say thank you for being there to support us. The mayor knew exactly what was going on. I watched the video of the meeting myself after being warned that I may want to, you know, take some medication before watching it, or take some spirits on. But either way it goes, the narrative was wrong, and it was presented to them incorrectly. And granted, even though I would never do this, I in a way understand why Ms. Herdina did what she did, or Judge Herdina did what she did. She found all of us and threw us under the bus to justify them not having to work on the weekends, which is what she stated to us. That is not our job, but it really was. But they were wrong in the way that they handled it. Skipper Gosnell did not call a meeting. Skipper Gosnell didn't have the authority to call a meeting, nor would he have done that. I called a meeting, but they put that on the record that Skipper called a meeting and that we shirked our responsibilities. We didn't want to work on the weekends, and that's the farthest from the truth. We worked every day, or on call every single day, to make our citizens happy and to ensure that county council doesn't have to field calls that they have no idea about. So thank you very much for being very supportive, and we appreciate it. We appreciate the senators as well. But I promise you, Christine Durant, court administration, I made sure that I ran stuff up the chain before making a decision to do such a thing. But I can tell you it is going to save the county plenty of money. And I can tell you how much it has saved the county over the last 8 years, about $400,000. That's what we saved. We saved the city. We saved the city $400,000. We're going to be saving the county that amount of money now.
Well, and I believe in other jurisdictions that are smaller where there is such an arrangement, it's much easier to accommodate their needs. But city of Charleston, city of North Charleston, the bigger cities that have more, you know, citations to handle. I mean,
Yes.
for me as a practitioner in my other job, it's a critical part of our justice system. And so it is very important. And I want the public to understand that we are meeting the needs and obligations to citizens, those that deserve a bond hearing as well as victims. And so I appreciate all that you've done in taking over as chief. It's been a heavy burden. So thank you.
Thank you. Our next meeting, I really would like, and it may not be today or tomorrow, but I have asked Senator Bright Matthews and Senator Tedder to please work on getting the magistrates some more money. Now that's an agenda item down the road later on, but I have talked to them about this, and I just wanted to put that on the record.
It's on the agenda.
Oh,
Well, that's a good segue into item 2E, because we do have that on the discussion. And I do want to make sure that everyone on this committee understands where we are. It's my understanding that when the salaries were adjusted by the state for all of our circuit court judges, that the manner in which that law was written did not increase salaries for magistrates. So they were kind of overlooked. Their salary increases had been previously tied to circuit judge increases, and it was specifically excluded. And so we do need to discuss at some point how we're going to address that inequity, because quite frankly, these judges are also suffering the same effects of inflation and everything that everyone else is. And so we want to make sure that we, to your point, Senator Bright Matthews, continue to incentivize, folks to take on these public service responsibilities.
Just FYI, that was one of the major bills that we dealt with in judiciary 3 years ago. And I don't know why. I assumed initially that the magistrates would be attached to the increase, but I understood as of last year that they were not. I do plan on checking on it, but one of the other things I wanted to check with you, Jenny, on and Rob, is the equation of, because there's been some thought that the county should give more hours to the magistrates to be able to accomplish their tasks and better serve the citizens. Are there any other magistrate, are we entitled in Charleston County to being allocated more magistrates or more hours pursuant? And I need to look at the equation. That's the letter I sent. And so I didn't know, and I planned on getting it to Senate, our Senate lawyers, but I haven't had a chance to do so.
And I have talked to Attorney Nisley about this. I thought, it was my impression that was a state sort of, the equation is a mandate.
Equation.
So when we redo those numbers based on population predictions and increases, then we may be entitled to some additional hours. But that comes down to the legislative delegation analyzing and making sure that we stay up to speed on those numbers. Correct me if I'm wrong, Christine or Kristen, I don't think the county can unilaterally just change the hours.
No, they can't. I will check on it with the Senate lawyers.
And just a little note to plug for your magistrates. Magistrates in this state handle more cases than any other circuit. Your magistrates across the state. And then you have your bigger counties like Charleston, your Richland, Lexington, and your Greenvilles that are tied to this proviso because the smaller counties cannot afford to pay their magistrates if there's an increase. There should be, in my opinion, some sort of sever from that particular proviso or the equation as it is right now, because we really are comparing apples to oranges when it comes to the smaller counties. No, I don't expect them to be, carrying $100,000 salary or getting $100,000 salary when they have $30,000 worth of work. But I do recognize that your magistrates across the state handle the bulk of the cases that are in the circuit. And if you ever have any questions about that, the Supreme Court now puts all of our pending cases on their website, and you can see the number of cases that are in the magistrate circuit. It's a lot. So hopefully that'll help out.
And another one of those issues is that our full-time magistrates, because of our county employment policies, are not getting paid overtime for weekends and night work anymore, because theoretically they're salaried and they get, if they're full-time, they have to work whatever hours they're scheduled to work. Now, they try to adjust that, I understand, maybe, you know, half day Friday if you're working Saturday, but I think that also may be an issue that needs to be revisited, is how we compensate. If we're not going to do an assigned bond judge for weekends, how we handle that. And the 7 off, 7 on may be a solution. But
If I can be recognized, Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Honeycutt. I have a quick question, and I'm looking at this chart that was given to me. The Adams Run Court, it said the total number are really, really low of 51, and last year 197. And then you have the North Area 2 Magistrate with only 30 hours and 2 different judges handling that in 6,000 cases. I'm saying that as a segue into something that I might be out of place in saying, but it won't be my first time. I don't believe in micromanaging. And the Chief Justice appointed a chief administrative judge for a reason. And it is my understanding, I might be wrong, Charleston might just do it a little bit different. It is my understanding that is the job of the chief administrative judge, because you're getting paid more, because you have more responsibility of making sure that all the judges are assigned and moved around in order to fairly cover the cases. Is it just the policy, or is this something with Charleston County Council whereby we have to approve where judges go? And it may be, I'm just a country girl in a small town.
Okay, I just want to address one thing, and this is why you need your grid. Because the Adams Run Magistrate, while it says 40 hours, Judge Morrison splits 20 hours in Adams Run, and he splits 20 at North Area Small Claims. So that's why that was
Doing 12 in Adams Run.
sorry.
He's
12.
doing 12 in Adams Run and the other 28 at North Area Small Claims.
Thank you. That gets
And
him-
that might be, and that's all well and good, and I believe that. That wasn't the crux of my question. My question isn't that on a day-to-day basis, I need to know that the cases are. My question is it the responsibility or the policy of county council that we must approve the movement of these judges and assignments? Or is that your responsibility as the chief administrative judge? Because if we're in session, and if county council has a lot going on, that puts a lot on us to double check or to approve what you as the chief administrative judge is assigned by the Chief Justice to do.
Yes, ma'am. So in my capacity, I have moved around the judges just to make sure that we didn't have a shortfall. So it does fall within my purview. It's just when it comes to reduction of hours and location, particular judges being appointed to one location and not appointed to another, I have to come to you for help. But on any given day, yes, it is my job to make sure that the trains are running on time, which means I have a judge in every court, and that means moving them around. I move them around. So yes, ma'am, it falls here.
And just
Can
to
I
give
tell
you,
you what? Why
Yes,
do
ma'am.
you have, why do you believe you have to come to county council and to the legislative delegation to get approval to assign judges?
Okay, that's a good question.
so with regards to the Adams Run, so that was Judge Martell Morrison, and he was appointed to a 12-hour Adams Run seat. That is his appointed hours, even assigned through the governor's office. So if you look at his appointment, it's Adams Run, which was 12 hours. This time last year, we met and we increased his hours to 40. They took 20 from Judge Whipper, and it was peppered throughout the other ones. where he was increased to 40. He was done
No,
that. because-
we did that through the Senate. We changed it and sent that in. Senator Sin, myself, and Senator Campson. We increased his hours at his request.
Yes.
Last year, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
That's right. And I think that was something that was moved here in oversight as
And
well.
oversight,
Yes,
so,
ma'am.
See, because we don't
so-
really care where they go. Only
Yes,
thing we
ma'am.
care about is the appointment. And once they get appointed to Charleston County, it's my position. I don't know what Senator Tedder's position is. Once it's appointed to Charleston County, all I care about is that they serve and cover the cases.
But once the governor's office appoints them to a certain amount of hours, if we change those hours, then we have to get approval. And that's what happened with Sanders and Fox. Fox
Okay.
was appointed to 14, so when we move her up, we have to actually get approval to move her, give her more hours. We can't go down, but we can go up once
Okay.
they're appointed. So that's what we
Okay.
had to get approval for.
So, and I have a question too, as far as, since I'm really new to the Senate, as far as how it works with these appointments, because it's a little confusing when you said that. So the governor appointed Judge Martell Morrison to those hours at Adams Run. So when we appointing judges, I would think that it would be, are they appointed to a location, or is it like, I know, for example, when Senator Sin was doing it, it was based on hours. Is it location? Just going forward, or how it was working in the past, is it when we assign or appoint magistrate judges, is it by, okay, well, we lost one in NA2, so we got to appoint one in NA2, or is it we just appoint judges and then we start splitting hours, and how does
Yes,
it
sir.
supposed to work?
So the three that we just got, the three Senate confirmations, if you look at the confirmations, they'll actually say vice, and they'll have the predecessor in that seat.
Right,
So
they're
for
supposed to
example,
replace.
yes, sir. So
Okay.
for example, Kane Lofton retired, when Patrick Smith was appointed, it says Vice Kane Lofton.
Gotcha.
That particular Kane Lofton was in the McClellanville seat. That particular office had X number of hours. My understanding is that the hours, it's a conversation that the county has with the senators, and those hours, we request them. We are, by statute, are supposed to share this information with our Senate delegation to let the state know our needs, where we're at. And then from there, the senators can make adjustments in those upcoming appointment years, which are every 4 years. So during the appointment, we can increase the hours, but we cannot reduce the hours. And so that's the conversation we're having right now with these two specific appointments prior to them taking their oath of office.
Okay.
Because
Gotcha.
once they are sworn in and in that position, we can't reduce.
Okay. Thank you.
But I do understand Judge Singleton Brown's wanting us to approve her reassignment, given that she would be the one reassigning herself.
Yeah.
I appreciate bringing
Well,
that
that
up
makes sense. Yeah.
to you.
Thank
Um,
you.
So
But I do, I'm sorry, Chair. Honeycutt, I believe Phyllis has some more information to provide to Senator Wright.
okay.
So that's with regards to the locations piece of it. So each area has, so North Area 1, 2, and 3, we have the assigned hours to those locations, so that anytime there is a reappointment, and if there's any hours additionally need, then that's where we have that conversation with the senators. Am I answering that question correctly, Christine?
I think so. As I heard Senator Brett Matthews, you indicated a two-part question. One is, do you have to come, at what point does the staff and the chief magistrate have to come to you all to permanently reallocate hours versus a temporary assignment that she would take action on to fill a court need? And then the second question is, and if there is also a location change, I think in there your question that is there a reason that permanent location reallocation has to come to you all? So I was asking Phyllis if she could kind of answer both parts under how they interpret the statute.
Yeah. Did I get that right with y'all? Did y'all
Yes, I understand it. I just didn't want us to get into a situation where I want to make sure we're doing what county council requires. But I didn't want to get into a situation where we were micromanaging the placement of judges, because as far as I'm concerned, once I sign appointing a Charleston County magistrate, they're a magistrate for the entire county. And thereafter, the chief judge, and I understand our situation because that's a county and employment issue. But as far as I'm concerned, thereafter, the chief magistrate is the one who is ultimately responsible to court administration and to the Supreme Court for making sure all courts are covered.
You know what I think we're gonna do is I wanna check with our legal department and make sure that the interpretation of the statute and the actions that we're taking are congruent. Certainly council just is supporting the interpretation of the statute. We have no
Thank you.
additional requirements on top of it.
No.
Gotcha.
Charleston County doesn't have a separate set of guidance or rules pertaining to the approval of the magistrates. Any further discussion on item 2E, the magistrate salaries? I appreciate the senators looking into that again this session upcoming, and I think that would conclude things. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second? All right. I think we're adjourned. Thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Don't get too
Thank
long.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Meeting adjourned at 06.
Yeah, so that's that same question I was asking.
Yeah.
What is that line in the sand? Because without a doubt, it's no doubt you can assign temporarily.
Temporarily.
And you can move like you did with Morrison. You can reassign him, but if he